what we have discovered now is that Trump's DOJ, since they put these files out, they have been retroactively going back in and changing them. They've been redacting Trump's name from documents. They've been removing photographic images that show Trump. We are in the middle of a large-scale cover-up right now at the highest levels of the U.S. government. This is important, guys. It says, breaking. Below, you will see me opening up the photo of Donald Trump that I downloaded at 4 p.m. last night from the DOJ website in the Epstein files. The file EFTA, a bunch of zeros, 468 PDF was removed sometimes last night from the DOJ's Epstein dump. You can look for yourself. This is absolute proof that Trump's DOJ is actively scrubbing files related to Trump. And here he is, clicking on the photo, 6'8", and it shows Trump in that drawer. But in fact, I downloaded all the files last night, and this thing is missing now. It is not in there anymore. It's gone. That file is gone.
The Epstein cover-up is real, and the Trump...
Dude, prepare yourself. If you've not heard the 𝗙•_𝗏𝗏 voice, I didn't warn you. Trigger warning. Prepare yourself, dude. He's got some pipes.
The Epstein cover-up is real, and the Trump DOJ just got caught red-handed. As you can see here, last night they released file number 468. But this morning, that file is no longer available. So what was in that file? Zoom in.
Yeah, it's
Donald Trump.
It's
He missed
multiple
one, so
Trumps.
They went back and covered it up. The Epstein cover...
You see that? It's two Trumps. It's the Trump and Melania picture, and then this one is Trump with a bunch of, like, blondies. You know, I don't know, pageant girls, swimsuit models or something. But yeah, so this is crazy. They are actively, like, pulling this stuff out. They're actively going back after they release this and retroactively removing it. Trump's DOJ appears to be quietly removing Epstein files that reference Trump after those files were already publicly released. This means that the DOJ deleted the only known photograph of Trump that appeared in this batch of files. Now, this is really problematic because we know that they've likely done this just across the board, that everything they're going to be releasing is going to have him not in it, which means that any missing number in sequence is going to have to be accounted for. I mean, guys, this is like the 15 minutes of the Nixon tapes right here that we're looking at, because now we can go back and look at every set of non-consecutive numbers, and we can pretty much assume that they have picked out and pulled the Trump photos. And yeah, the obvious question is, how many others have they removed? Now, it does not stop here. Okay, this was the first instance of this being noticed, which happened this morning. 𝗙cie_𝗏𝗏 was on this. Everybody started verifying. I downloaded the files and verified, yeah, that file is missing. It felt like by the time I downloaded them, there were even more missing. Okay, but then 𝗏𝗏𝗏 scooped another thing because they found redactions. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 found this, and this is a huge problem too. It said the DOJ appears to have redacted Donald Trump's name from allegations made in this exhibit in the Epstein files. Trump's name was in the original release. Now it's blacked out. Okay, so here was the original release, okay? She said, several girls at any one time, she confided in me about her casual friendship with Donald. Mr. Trump definitely seemed to have a thing for her, and she told me how she kept going on about how he liked her pert nipples. Donald Trump liked flicking and sucking her nipples until they were raw. One evening when we were showering together, she showed me her nipples. They looked incredibly painful. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? Talking about Donald Trump. But look at what they did later that day. They replaced it. You see Trump, Donald, Mr. Trump. All of a sudden, they replaced it. They replaced all the mentions of Trump. Every mention of Trump has been scrubbed and removed. That after the fact. They released this, then they went back. Right? Isn't that nuts? That is insane. Because now we don't know. At this point, anything that is redacted is potentially him. And they did it down here too. They went back and they covered up 𝗙ص𝗶𝗹𝗀 and 𝗫𝗏𝗏, right? You see that? They did the same thing down here. So they're just covering everybody that is like, you know what I'm saying? They're redacting everyone that has nothing to do with victimization. They're just covering everybody. They're protecting all of the wealthy industrialists in America. You know, they're reckless. And this is starting a deluge of proceedings, because now there's a problem here, guys. Because guys, remember, this isn't just a request for documents. They passed a law that frames the manner and mechanism with which these files need to be released. So if you don't release them in the correct way, you are actually breaking a federal law. All right? You are breaking a federal law. This is something that will outlive the Congress. It's not going away. After the Republicans no longer have the presidency, that law, any breaking of that law will still exist. It says here, prohibited grounds for withholding. Okay, no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. Okay, so they can only be redacting stuff that is actual victims, where it would constitute an unwarranted invasion of privacy. So that, guys, is even meaning victims that haven't gone public, and they are now like out in the ether, if you will. Okay, and Fox News found that they were sort of redacting anyone that was politically exposed and or government officials. Okay, that's a problem. Now, there's more though. After the publication, DOJ must report to Congress all categories of information released and withheld, a summary of any redactions made, and a list of all government officials and politically exposed individuals named or referenced in the published materials. Which means they have to provide context about the redactions. They can't simply redact things in silence, okay? They need to provide some level of explanation of why they redacted shit. Now, they have 15 days to do this, so ostensibly this could be coming, but this is a huge deal. I mean, let's just recap thus far what the Pam Bondi and the DOJ have done. One is they missed the deadline. Okay, what they released on Friday was less than 1% of the documents. It was like 0.83% of the total number of documents. So one, they didn't fulfill their legal obligation to release it all. That's part one. Number two, they didn't adhere to the redaction guidelines, which was only having victims be redacted. Okay, they went far beyond that. They did political figures. They have now retroactively gone and redacted Trump. They're redacting 𝗙ص𝗶𝗹𝗀 from YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other thing they haven't done is they haven't provided any context or a list of all the political people involved, et cetera, et cetera. So they are operating way outside the law. And beyond that, though, guys, they're just being sneaky. Okay, and they're just being like ridiculously overboard, like what they did with Michael Jackson, for example. They released this photo with Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and Bill Clinton. They released it with those other photos. So This ostensibly looks like Clinton and Michael Jackson and a number of victims are hanging out. Whatever. These are supposedly victims, right? They're redacting only the victims. I mean, look at this, right? Per the Epstein files, DOJ was specifically instructed only to redact the faces of victims, right? Here's a picture of Bill Clinton. But like, first off, the thing about this is this photo is a publicly available photo. This photo is from the Getty Images, right? It was a Democratic fundraiser, and that's their kids, okay? That is their kids. But right now, granted, they are minors, okay? But this is a public figure and his family and a publicly available photo. This is one of those instances where blocking these people out makes it seem like there are minor victims there, and it's totally slanting the delivery when that is a photo from Getty Images with Michael and Diana's own children. Okay, it's Bill Clinton taking a photo with the family, and they're like, oh, Clinton, MJ, child victims, yada, yada, yada. Dude, isn't that wild? I mean, they are way out. You know what I'm saying? They're like way off the hilt, okay? Which is why they're drafting articles of impeachment. AOC made a comment on this. She came out and spoke about this. So there's a 119-page grand jury document entirely redacted, okay? We saw that 55-page thing completely redacted, all right? AOC said, now the cover-up is out in the open. This is far from over. Everyone involved will have to answer for this. Pam Bondi, 𝗙cie 𝗶𝗶𝗍𝗏, the whole admin protecting a bunch of rapists and pedophiles because they have money, power, and connections. Bondi should resign. And she's right. Dude, she's right. Absolutely right. Bondi should be resigning over this. Because this is now, it's beyond them just taking some files and like screwing up the release of files. They are actively breaking federal law, flaunting it right in front of us. And so now they have articles of impeachment. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie have filed articles of impeachment on Pam Bondi. And yeah, remember guys, too, from the get-go, it was a hoax, right? These files don't even exist, guys. I mean, dude, I believe there's going to be, dude, this is funny. I believe there's going to be a political price to pay here.